Alright, so in this video, I'm going to be going through from worst to best the ACC basketball arenas. This is a loaded stack of arenas in comparison to other conferences, especially the top 5, but we will begin with number 15, the worst arena in the ACC in 2024. It is the Conti Forum, home of Boston College. You take a look at the interior of this, it looks like just a random mid-major arena. It looks stuffy, it looks cheap. There's nothing really special about it, so for me it comes in at number 15. Really not a fan of that ceiling and just how low it is, and just not a good interior design in my opinion. Moving on to number 14, it is the Wasco Center. This is home of Miami, and Miami, they've got great weather when it comes to their arena. Very, very bad. The interior of it is just nothing good about it. I mean, it's just one lower bowl. Again, you've got a very ugly ceiling. The exterior of it, I guess, is okay. You've got some palm trees, things like that, but there's just not many redeeming qualities about that arena. Moving on to number 13, it is the Donald L. Tucker Civic Center, home of Florida State. Now, the interior of this one is very nice. I would say probably should be ranked higher if you were just basing it off of the interior. It's got a smaller upper deck. It's got some unique seating. The issue is the exterior of this arena is just terrible. I mean, it is genuinely horrible. So this is Florida State's home arena, and for me, it's going to come in at number 13, pretty low on the list, mainly because of the exterior. Even with kind of a decent interior, I've got it at 13. Moving on to number 12, it is the Hank McCamish Pavilion. Now, this is one that recently did get an exterior renovation. It looks very nice. I will say, it's like they renovated the sides of the exterior, but kept that middle dome the same. So it's a very strange contrast of like a futuristic outer shell, and then the top of it just looks very old, kind of weird. The interior of it, don't love it personally, but because it did get an exterior renovation, I decided to move it up. Originally, I was going to rank this as the worst arena. It does have kind of a very small upper deck, but just not a great interior overall. It comes in at number 12. Moving on to number 11, it is the Little John Coliseum. This is home of Clemson. You can see the interior. I will say it is kind of unique. It looks very steep right behind the baskets, and it's just a big wall going up, which is kind of a cool design. Instead of going with the second deck, you know, you've just got a giant wall of seats. They also do have kind of a break in the seating where people can conjugate. It looks like a big concourse area. So this one, it's not special. It's very small, but it's not the worst thing in the world, and the exterior of it is relatively built up and looks decent, so it comes in at number 11. Moving on to number 10, it is the Memorial Coliseum, home of Wake Forest. They've got a nice new Jumbotron. The seat color matches the whole Wake Forest vibe, but in general, this is a very generic, very bland arena. You can see it's a 2-deck approach. There's just nothing unique about it. I really can't move it up any higher than this. At least it's built up a little bit. Wake Forest does have a very nice court design, I will say that. It comes in at number 10. Moving on to number 9, it is the Joyce Center, the home of Notre Dame. So they've got this interesting roof design where you can see 2 different arenas, like the bowls of 2 different arenas, and then right next to it you've got kind of this little green area. I actually don't mind that. The main issue I have when it comes to like greenery on roofs is if it's covering the entire thing. So that's kind of an okay design. Notre Dame got a renovation to their football stadium where they built up the concourses and the sides, and they've got like grass on their roofs as well. When it comes to the interior of this arena, it's very small, which is understandable. I will say it kind of has that setup that Illinois does, where those first 4 or 5 rows are not really elevated off the ground, so when you're watching it on TV, it always looks strange. The pros with an arena like this, it's very hard to tell when there's empty seats, because just there's not that many seats in general. But the cons are whenever Notre Dame basketball is good, there's just not enough seats on the interior. But overall, I think this design is pretty solid because, you know, when it comes to college basketball, you want your own unique custom thing. It's okay. I've got it at number 9. Moving on to number 8, it is PNC Arena. So this is another dreaded college basketball team playing at a pro sports arena. This is an NHL arena, and it is getting an exterior renovation. When it comes to this arena in general, I will say it just looks like a massive PNC Bank to me. But when it comes to the interior, to me, it's just built up way too much for NC State. Like, if NC State had their own arena, it'd just be a lot more custom, a lot smaller. It's just the unfortunate thing when you play at an NBA arena, it's hard to fill, and even when you do fill it, it's not going to have the same atmosphere and the same loudness because the arena is so large. So for me, it doesn't really fit NC State, who's not this bigger school anyways. Anytime a college team plays at kind of a pro sports arena, it's going to be tough to rank. They do have, solid amenities in comparison to some of these other arenas, but just in terms of the college atmosphere, it's going to come right in the middle at number 8 for me. Moving on to number 7, it is the Castle Coliseum, home of Virginia Tech. Very unique roof design. I love that. And also a very unique bowl seating design where at the corners, it's like the seating jets up. And anytime an arena has something like that, I do like it, even though you could argue it kind of looks ugly. It is just something different. I think the exterior is built up enough as well to rank this one at least decently, coming in at number 7. Moving on to number 6, it is the Peterson Event Center, home of Pittsburgh. So now we're getting into the pretty good arenas. The ACC has a lot of good arenas, so this one, if it were in a different conference, would probably be top 3 or top 4. Very nice brand new video board with the bridge on top. I love that little detail, and this is a really built up arena. Now, of course, when it comes to this arena, you have to mention the floor level suites, which a lot of people hate. I find it to be very unique, but yeah, it is kind of weird that they have floor level suites taking up all that room. Normally, you never ever see that. And then also, they have a built up upper deck. They've got a little, exclusive suite level area right next to the upper deck. It's a solid arena. I like it. And it comes in at number 6. Moving on to number 5, I would say these top 5, it's got to be a consensus. You can rank them differently, but this is a consensus top 5 for pretty much everyone. It is John Paul Jones Arena. This is home of Virginia, and it's just a beautiful college basketball arena. You've got the brick kind of columns with windows and natural light. You do have the upper deck, the lower bowl. Very good access, very good views. Just a really unique design with the brick. I love that. If this was a different conference, it would be ranked a lot higher. And then I will say, it's interesting because you look at the exterior of this arena, it's nice brick design, but just the way this arena is shaped, Germany, back in the 1930s when they were building all these things, they actually had kind of a structure that was designed like this. They started building it. It got abandoned about halfway through because the war broke out. But that just reminded me of this because it's like the exact same design. But yeah, it's a really nice arena for sure, and it comes in at number 5. Moving on to number 4, it is the JMA Wireless Dome. So this is one a lot of people hate because technically it is multi-purpose, and it really does depend. Well, honestly, I wouldn't even say that. I was going to say it depends if Syracuse is good or not, but even when they're not good, I feel like they at least relatively fill this up decently. And obviously the capacity is ridiculous. They can seat up to around 35K. If Syracuse is good on a Saturday night, they can get this place rocking. You also do have the newly renovated roof that lets in natural light now. We'll see if they do renovate the seats in the upper deck to, make them actual chairs instead of just the bleacher sections. They've been wanting to do that for a while now. I do like this arena just because it's so unique. You don't see this anywhere else in Power 6 basketball, and it comes in at number 4 for me. Moving on to number 3, it is the KFC Yum Center. So this is the one arena in college basketball where if you just looked at the exterior of it, you would be convinced it's an NBA arena. I mean, it looks like a pretty solid top 12 NBA arena from the exterior. The interior, pretty much the same. I mean, just the seating. It looks like the amount of suites, 2 levels of suites going all the way around, all the club seats as well. Around 22,000 is what it can seat. One of the biggest college basketball arenas. The biggest that's, solely for college basketball. Obviously, you have the JMA Wireless Dome, but that's multi-purpose. So it is just a crazy, crazy arena. It would be a huge NBA arena as well. I believe the biggest arena in the NBA based off of its capacity if it was in the NBA. But yeah, very impressive arena. Moving on to number 2, it is the Dean Smith Center, or the Dean Dome. So this is one, you know, this is kind of based off the history of it. Also, I love the seat color. The Tar Heel, the blue, it's just great. You know, and you can say the design of it with the upper deck and the lower bowl is completely outdated, and certainly it is, but it just fits North Carolina with how legendary this arena is. You know, that goes into it when it comes to ranking these things. So for me, the Dean Smith Center, also a bigger arena as well, it comes in at number 2. And then the number 1 arena in the ACC, it has to be Cameron Indoor Stadium. Beautifully renovated exterior with the brick. And then the interior, it is extremely small, but that's what makes it so great. Obviously, the very limited seating, basically no suites. There was an idea to add suites to Cameron Indoor, but it never happened. I wonder if Duke would ever consider building like another Cameron Indoor, but just making it slightly bigger, like adding, you know, a few thousand seats to the capacity and adding suites, what it would look like. It'd probably still look pretty sweet. Well, honestly, maybe not. Maybe it would just look weird. But either way, Cameron Indoor, I mean, you can argue and say, well, it's not built up. The KFC Yum Center is better overall. But in terms of just ranking college basketball arenas, the atmosphere is just every night ridiculous. So guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.